Hey guys, Alex Khan here, and I just watched the new Predator movie called Prey, and I got it on Hulu. I actually unsubscribed from Hulu a while back, but because this movie was only available on Hulu for people in the United States, I had to get Hulu again. And a little backstory to myself: I've seen all the Predator movies in theaters. I was probably only like 7 or 8 when I watched the first Predator movie, and I love that movie. I loved Predator 2. I loved Predators. And as for the ones after those, I didn't love them so much, but they were still fun to watch. Like even the really crappy movie, The Predator, made in what 2018 or 2017, whatever. That movie sucked, but I was still really excited to watch that movie. And even after I watched that movie, I still like the experience of watching a new Predator movie. So when Prey was being advertised, I got super excited because Prey shows a completely different time period. This one takes place in the 1700s in North America on the northern Great Plains. So it matches a warrior, a predator, up against the warriors of North America in the 1700s, and it's pretty exciting to watch. Now, I gotta say, out of all the Predator movies I've seen, this one has the most sympathetic and likable human protagonist I've seen in any Predator movie. Sure, you might say, Arnold Schwarzenegger was a great protagonist. He surely was, but he was kind of a victim of his time period. In that time period, it was all about these one-dimensional, over-the-top action heroes, and that's what Schwarzenegger was in the first Predator movie. He was very over-the-top, very one-dimensional. He was fun to watch, but that didn't really make him as likable and sympathetic as what we got in Prey. In Prey, we have a character called Naru, and she is a female Comanche warrior, and I feel like she gave a really human touch to the human characters in the Predator series. So I loved that aspect of this movie. In fact, that one aspect alone, having this great sympathetic human protagonist, this one elevated this movie for me above Predator 2 and above the AVP series and above The Predator. But still, I still am slightly partial towards the first Predator movie in '87 and also Predators made in 2010. I would put those two movies just above Prey. But yeah, that's my ranking. I would go Predators made in 2010, Predator made in 1987, and then Prey made in 2022. And then after Prey, I'd probably put the first AVP movie, and then I'd put AVP Requiem after that. And then at the very bottom, in my most hated list, is The Predator because that movie was a joke. That movie would have been okay if it didn't have the Predator title in it, but because this movie was a Predator title, I would put that movie as absolute trash. Oh gosh, that movie just really upsets me. Anyways, back to Prey. Yeah, I loved the human character Naru in this movie. I've never seen her in another movie. Maybe I have, but maybe I just didn't recognize her face. I'm not really sure, but she was great in this movie. She was fantastic. And speaking of the Predator in this movie, the Predator was was extremely awesome in this movie. He had all these different ways of killing, very creative ways of killing, and he wasn't armed the same way as the predators you see in the latest batch of movies. Because even in '87, from '87 on to 2018, those predators had very similar weaponry. It was a bit more high tech than what we saw in Prey. Because in Prey, that was the 1700s. They still had pretty evolved technology compared to what we had. I'm not going to go into the specifics because I don't want to ruin this movie for you guys. I want you guys to see the tech for yourselves. But let's just say he was not as high tech as what you saw in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, late. Well, those movies. It wasn't as high tech, but the way he kills people was fantastic, and I just love seeing so much predator action in this movie. If there is a flaw in this movie, I would say it's probably the budget, which is kind of unfair to say because this movie was, I guess, designed to be released on streaming. So the sets, I guess, the overall look of the movie, it was still good, but it does not compare to the theatrical movies. Basically, any of the other Predator movies, which had a theatrical release, which was all of them. In terms of like the look and quality, yeah, Prey would probably be at the bottom of that. But a movie overall, third place in my opinion in the Predator pantheon of movies. What else to say? The soundtrack was pretty solid, but again, this is where I would give a soundtrack edge to the '87 Predator movie, and especially the 2010 Predator movie. That one had a rocking soundtrack to it. So what else to say? Yeah, it was just great seeing how you know what it would be like if one of the Predators fought a less sophisticatedly armed warrior, and what we get is a Predator to match that type of mentality of the 1700s. So I freaking loved it. This movie it went by pretty fast. I'm not sure what the running time was, but yeah, I just sat down and I just watched it all the way through. Usually with streaming movies, I kind of take my time with them. I divide it up into into halves, or I'll watch it throughout the course of a day. But this one, I was just glued to my computer monitor, just wanting to see what was going to happen next. So yeah, if you guys saw this movie, what did you think of it? Where would you put this? Actually, let me see your rankings of the Predator movies, including AVP. And I still got to think about where I would put the we'll call it the Comanche Predator, where I would put that in my favorite list of Predators. Not the movies, but the warriors themselves. Because I think right now a lot of people's favorites, and my favorite included, would be the Wolf Predator from AVP Requiem. Okay, well that's all I got to say, guys. I just wanted to give you my thoughts on this movie because I was in such a rush to watch this movie. I wasn't able to watch this movie until after work.